I hereby call this meeting of the Franklin City School Board to order at 6 p.m. on July 16th, 2026. This is a reorganization meeting, and we will begin with the agenda as outlined. Will everyone please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Wyzak.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Alsbrook,
Present.
Ms. Bailey,
Present.
Ms. Christina Boone, Ms. Dorothy Boone, Mr. Cofield,
Present.
Mr. Grant,
Present.
Mr. Hill,
Present.
Dr. Carter,
Present.
and our attorney, Mr. Daniel Masakayan. Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item on nominations are now open for the office of board chair. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Ms. Wadia Bailey for board chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board chair? Okay, Ms. Wyzak, we'll start off with a roll call.
For a vote.
So we have a motion and a nomination and a second, and we'll take the votes right now. Mr. Alsbrook,
Yay.
Mr. Grant,
Yay.
Ms. Dorothy Boone, Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Cofield,
Yay.
Mr. Hill,
Yay.
and Ms. Christina Boone. Thank you. Motion carried.
Excuse me. Okay. Next, we'll have nominations for the vice chair.
I nominate, what's his name? John Alsbrook for vice chair.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other nominations for vice chair? Let us have the vote. Mr. Alsbrook?
Yay.
Mr. Grant?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Oh. Mr. Cofield?
Yay.
Mr. Hill?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Yay. Motion carried. Congratulations, Vice Chair John Alsbrook. Do bear with us if there's a couple of pauses in between as we get everything straight, because as you know, we are fairly a new board, but a new board can be just as much as an effective board. So just bear with us as we get through procedures and policies on this evening. We now need a motion to approve or amend the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for the clerk of Southampton County Court, Rick Francis, to make a brief presentation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? With no discussion, let's have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Yay.
Mr. Grant?
Yay.
Ms. Boone?
Yay.
Mr. Alsbrook?
Yay.
Mr. Hill?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Yay. Motion carried. Mr. Please come up and make this wonderful presentation.
Madam Chair, Superintendent, thank you all. I'm here tonight to administer the oath of office to two of your members. I think we're doing it as a redundancy, but it's still a proper thing to do. So, Ms. Boone, would you come down and let me administer the oath to you, for which I will then read your signature. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you, Dorothy Boone, solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties that come upon you as a member of the City of Franklin Public School Board representing Ward 3, according to the best of your ability, so help you God? Yes, I will. Thank you. May I have your signature on this middle line of this oath? Now, when I return to the office, I will fix the seal of our county and city, and we will get that oath back to the office for you and for the record. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Hill, I may ask you to come down.
If any of his family would like to join him and is present, please come up and do so.
Absolutely. It takes the village. This is my best photograph inside that way.
Oh, boy. Thank you, Trey.
All right. Good, good. There we go. Thank you very much. All right. Mr. Hill. Yes, sir. Would you raise your right hand and take the oath? Do you, Lamont Hill, solemnly affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge all the duties incumbent upon you as a member of the City of Franklin Public School Board representing Ward 1 according to the best of your ability, so help you God? Thank you, sir. And may I have your signature likewise on the middle line? And these oaths and those that you have taken will become a permanent record among the courthouse records of Southampton County, which date back to 1749. So they'll be here for a long, long time to come.
Yes, sir.
As a congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
If I may be of any other service, give me a call.
I shall. Thank you for the invite. Yeah. At this time, we need to go ahead and approve our regular agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion that we approve the current agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other amendments? Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Yay.
Mr. Grant?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Yay.
Mr. Hill?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Yes, the agenda is approved. Next, I do want to take a moment and thank, I see 2 city council members who came here to support us on our organizational meeting. Greg McLemore, thank you very much. And Wendelin, thank you very, very much, Ms. Copeland, for coming to support. And we also, last but not least, we know usually you see our attorney, Daniel Masakayan, on Zoom up there on the monitor, but he is here present with us at this meeting. So we do want to welcome Mr. Daniel all the way to Franklin from his location. It was a long drive, but he made it. Thank you. Next on the agenda is committee assignments. We're going to go ahead and table that to the next meeting. The committee assignments, and is all in favor of that?
Aye.
Any discussion? Okay, let us have the vote to table committee assignments to the next meeting. One moment. Do we have a second to table it?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield? Aye. Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Aye. Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey, aye. Motion to table committee assignments passed. Next on the agenda, we have the superintendent's report.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Ricks?
Good afternoon. Thank you. I will be presenting the textbook adoption. Ms. Tompkins had to step out for an emergency today, so this is a second read. All right, so as Ms. Tompkins previously shared, these were the initial contacts that the VDOE approved as it pertains to the math book textbook vendors. The timeline, as you can see here, the timeline of the review process started February 26th. A textbook community was formed with mathematics teachers, parents, and the K through 12 mathematics curriculum specialists. Textbooks were made available in the Parent and Family Engagement Room for SP Morton and at the J.P. King CTE Academy. A flyer was also available to all stakeholders to review the textbooks in a digitally form and provide feedback accordingly. So as you can see, just a brief demonstration of the flyers that was available. All right, so after receiving feedback from the stakeholders and the following textbook were selected. And you can see the two that were selected there for K through 5 and also KIDM for K through 5 and Math Space 6 through 12. All right, so for the vendors, the life of the adoption for the elementary, you can see there is 7 years at the cost, and that's the cost that's available there, $75,000. A little bit over 75,000. Math Space, 3 years, and you can see that that's a little over 34,000. And you can see that the total is a little bit over 100,000. Okay, so we are requesting school board approval this evening to ensure that textbooks can be ordered in time for teachers' training and the start of the new school year. The textbooks will be purchased using the state textbook allocation. State textbook funds are restricted and may only be used for the purchase of approved instructional materials and textbooks. So we're asking the board for approval of the textbook adoption. Math textbook adoption.
Dr. Ritz, I had a couple of questions because I had the opportunity to review over this, and I was fairly impressed with the things that I've seen, and I really liked some of the things that I saw, but I had a couple of questions, and I was hoping maybe you could answer a few of them about the textbook.
I can try, but you know about Ms.
I
Tompkins.
understand.
Ms. Tompkins had an emergency, she couldn't be here today, but I'll give you my.
Yes, ma'am, and maybe I can provide
have
these
to-
questions to you guys, and someone can follow up with that.
Right, and yes.
So what objective data supports committed Franklin to a 7-year KIDM contract before we've seen our 25-26 SOL results? Why wasn't a 1-year pilot with measurable performance goals recommended instead? Because it was quite a bit of money to ask for, and I was just, before we lock ourselves into a program for a few years, I was kind of wondering why we didn't try it out 1 year instead of trying to
Well,
commit to it right now.
Right, I can answer that in general. Of course, the textbooks are approved by the Virginia Department of Education, and most of the time when we just go with a 1 year, the cost is a higher cost with just having 1 year. Most textbooks even when I've previously been on textbook adoption, you have a series of years which reduce the pricing for those textbooks. But it also, the key is also that it's aligned with the math standards. And you've had all this participation to go through the textbooks and work together in that process. Any further information, Ms. Tompkins will have to answer any specifics.
I had two more questions, if you wouldn't mind. I'll try to wrap this up. Research shows curriculum alone doesn't improve achievement. Implementation does. What evidence demonstrates Franklin has the staffing, teacher retention, intervention support, and implementation capacity to ensure that Kidum succeeds here?
Well, I can say that with the textbook, that's only one resource in the classroom. So the textbook, we don't expect the teachers to depend completely on providing instruction for small group, whole group, all on just one textbook. That is a part of the curriculum. So therefore, we have teachers that's going out to training. We have professional development, pre-services, training to make sure, observations, walkthroughs, all of those support the process of implementation. So we have, enhanced some practices with those things based on data, and we do that every year.
And then I guess my last question would be, if student achievement and SOL scores do not improve after implementing Kidum, what specific performance benchmarks will be determined whether the curriculum was worth the $75,000 investment, and who will be held accountable if it fails?
I'll let the superintendent answer that question.
Anything that you use, it takes people. And so if it's not implemented to fidelity, you start with the teacher, then you move to the school-based administration, then you move up to the central office who supports the principal, and all the way to me. So anything that you put in requires proper implementation. You can use the world's oldest programs, and they could fail if it's not properly implemented. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but it all boils down to people, how they plan, how they go into their PLCs, professional learning communities, for those what PLC stands for, and plan and work with their administrators, work with their teachers, work with their curriculum specialists to make sure that it passes. And then, of course, for educators, there's something called formative assessments. And formative assessments means that you're checking for understanding. So at the end of each lesson, the teacher needs to go back to make sure that the children understand what the objective is taught for that day. And if they don't do that, then any program that you use will fail.
Just a quick question, because I was always taught kind of the opposite of what you just said, that it actually goes from the superintendent to the curriculum specialist to the or administration, and then to the teachers, even though the teachers are the direct line of communication with the students, but the planning and the preparation all happens supposedly at central office as well as with your administrators, because they're the ones that's actually implementing something into the buildings. I mean, what types of training are you guys going to put in place in order for, for our teachers to be well ready for the beginning of the school year? I mean, how are you actually going to implement this? Because
We always have a pre-service, and so when the teachers come back, they have a pre-service. And during those days, the curriculum is introduced, or the program, or the book, or the program is introduced. And during that time, they can implement that, and when they start to do their lesson plans, showing them how to work it through. So that's a collaboration, again, with the teachers. That's a collaboration with the curriculum specialists. That's a collaboration with school-based administration first. And then, of course, with your chief academic officer. Those are usually the people that are in play to make sure that they have a thorough understanding of what's going on.
I'm pretty sure this isn't our first time purchasing textbooks. Is anyone familiar with what the previous budget was in prior years for what we spent and what funding was allocated for textbooks?
I know that there's a textbook fund, but I don't have the numbers from the previous year tonight.
So was there a comparison analysis to try to see if there was an increase or a decrease in the amount that we're spending on textbooks this year versus the prior years?
I can just say in general, you may have a little difference, but pretty much, everything increased over the years. So the textbook numbers are kind of the same. Pretty much when you pay for the textbook for a certain amount of years, they give this flat-out rate for those textbooks. And again, it's the textbooks approved from the VDOE list. So it could be different prices. I know the curriculum team worked with the stakeholders and the families, and this is what they all came up with. So far as the numbers being broke down, those conversations were discussed among that team. I wasn't a part of that team, so I can't speak to every specific component of that. Again, stepping in the foot of the absent the chief academic officer tonight, so I just ask that the board, respect that I'm in the place of an emergency situation tonight. And any other follow-up questions, I'll be happy to submit. You can submit those to Ms. Tompkins, and she will answer those specifically.
Yes, ma'am. I had just two more, if you could, maybe answer that. In regards to, I know this is a heavily online kind of based platform, if I remember correctly, some of the things that I was researching. My first part of my question would be, is there a textbook, a hard textbook available for the students? I know a lot of them will have a textbook, and then they'll either have a workbook that goes with it as a supplemental guide. But then my other question would be, how many of our returning teachers are actually going to be pretty comfortable using a program like this? Do we expect there to be any issues with, I guess, like a learning curve when it comes to learning the program and using the program?
Well, absolutely, there's a learning curve. That's why we have the pre-services. That's why we have our teams this year specifically pushing into every school and every program individually, even for our retreat days. So yes, there's a learning curve, but there are also key supports in place. And then it's also expected for the teachers to keep record of what's working with the textbook and what's not working with the textbook. Again, sometimes we have kids with special accommodations that may require a hard copy because they possibly can't, focus with it digitally. But overall, far as especially with the high school, we pretty much digital with textbooks. Sending home textbooks now can be a challenge for kids being able to maintain that. So having classroom sets and having sets to meet students with specific learning disabilities or 504 plans, yes, that will be available for them.
Just my last question. I'm pretty sure we kind of followed a similar pathway when we actually got the textbooks that we were currently using up until this point. Mm-hmm. What would actually happen different this time that will help or guarantee that the student achievement, whether it's SOLs, whether it's just across the board, how is that going to improve? Meaning, what are we doing different this time? Because I was hoping that we were going to have in the superintendent's report our SOL scores, because I definitely asked for that the last time. But being that I didn't see it, I'm just wondering, how can we improve that based off of doing the same thing other than just getting a new textbook?
The textbooks are not really our issue. First of all, our issue is making sure that we can slowly roll back getting the children to school 5 days a week. That's number one. Number two, we've got to make sure that the parents get the kids to school on time and stay all day. Those are our main issues. We have a human capital issue. We have a community issue. The textbooks are our secondary concerns. So once we solve getting the children to school 5 days a week, once we solve making sure that they get to school on time, stay the whole day, I guarantee you that would make a tremendous difference. And we also continue to decrease our chronic absenteeism. So it's not necessarily the textbook that's our issue. It's more so we have to make sure that we get our kids more instructional time.
I can somewhat agree with you, but I'm still wondering, are we as a school division doing something different? Because you're saying something about solving something, but I'm saying, are we doing something to solve those issues? What are we doing differently this school year that we didn't do in previous school years?
Well, we actually reduced the wellness days. So now the children will have more instructional time in the classroom.
But they're not showing up, as you said.
No, they were not showing up. They were not showing up for the Enrichment Fridays that we try to put into place, and they weren't showing up for that. Yes, we did have a chronic absenteeism problem, but we have greatly worked on that through our truancy division to reduce that. Do we still have some more work to do to get it to Tier 1? Yes, we do, but we definitely got it out of the red, which is Tier 3. We're at Tier 2 currently.
So we did improve in that area, but how well did we do when it came to our SOS?
I will be glad to release that as soon as the state gives us the green light. And if you check into your packet, you will have an information that shows what it is and the person that you can contact to verify what I just said. And as soon as they gave us the green light, we will release the SOL scores, and that's for every Virginia school. They are still tabulating. Yes, they are still tabulating. And so as soon as they finish, they will give us the green light, and we will release it. And again, if you check into your packet, because I anticipated that question, everything you will need to know is here, and we even gave you the name and phone number of who you can call.
Can I make a motion to table this until, to table the K-12 mathematics textbook approval process until Dr. Tompkins can answer some more of our questions when she gets a chance?
We have a motion.
May I say something, sir, before you do that? You are severely delaying this, because each time that you table, then when you pass, you put us behind. So I just want you to put that into consideration, that every time that you table, you put us one step back and able to implement. So I'm just putting that out there for the record. It is your right to table, but every time you table, you make it harder for us to get things moving for the next school year.
Is that kind of like the same way we dropped the budget at the last minute and didn't have an opportunity to do any research, but still had to move forward and pass it?
The city already approved that budget. It wasn't nothing we could do about that. That budget was what it was. There was nothing to discuss. That's what they gave us.
I don't think Mr. Grant was referring to the city approving it. He said it was given to us at the last minute to approve. That was, he was addressing. Do we have a motion now, Mr. Alsbrook?
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion to, once again, table the K-12 mathematics textbook approval process until we can get more questions answered by Dr. Tompkins when she gets an opportunity.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield? Mr. Grant?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook? Mr. Hill?
Yay.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Yay. Motion passed to table this. I do want to take a minute and recognize another councilman who just came in the room, Dr. Johnson. Good evening. And to make a correction, I should have said Vice Mayor Gwendolyn Cope. She's saying no, but I do want to make that correction. Okay. Now, do we have the finance report by Ms. Morrison?
Chair Bailey, school board members, Dr. Carter, and everyone assembled here, good evening.
Good evening.
The first thing I'd like to do is revisit the comprehensive compensation study we talked about last meeting. Next slide, please. So the review and evaluation of the proposals has been done, and these were the top three. Those top three proposals, upon the board's direction, we will issue the intent to award letter for the 10 days. And if the 10 days have passed and there's no vendor challenge to that, then we will begin the comprehensive compensation study with the selected vendor. At this time, I'm requesting that the school board, if ready, identify the selected vendor. Which of the top three would be selected?
Do we have a motion? I
make a motion that we accept the management advisory group's bid to do this project with us.
Do we have a second? Discussion. I do have some for discussion. I'd like to make a counter motion that we table it to do a little bit more research on the three groups and then come back to it. Okay. Okay. Any more discussion? Daniel, can he withdraw the motion, or do we have to move forward on that motion? Move forward and then come back. Okay. So let's move forward on that motion. We've had the discussion. Mr. Cofield?
Point of clarity, we're voting on what Mr. Grant said.
And then come back, yes.
Okay, no.
Mr. Grant?
I still have to vote aye for my vote, I mean for my motion.
Nay.
Mr. Hill?
Nay.
Ms. Boone? No. Ms. Bailey? Nay. Motion not carried. I now make a motion that we actually table it till our next meeting. It's a motion. Do we have a second?
I want to make the motion that we table it to our next meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Let's have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? When is the date for our next meeting? You can check it. It should be right in your folder with the dates of all the
mid-August.
next meetings coming up.
I'm talking about the next regular meeting in mid-August.
No. No, motion's passed. It's tabled to the next meeting.
Thank you, Board. The next thing I would like to do is present my standard financial report for the month of June 30th. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the general fund. As we predicted, we are closing the financial year with expenditures that exceeded revenues and also exceeded the budget. This is a preliminary year-end financial position, and it is subject to audit adjustments, and year-end closing entries. We have identified the primary factors that contributed to this issue, and I will be going over them a little bit later in this presentation so that it'll be clear that transactions and circumstances which were contributed to the end-of-year deficit. These year-end results are not what we would have preferred. We take that seriously, And we are committed to doing everything within our power to make sure that this does not recur.
Okay. So right now, this is the deficit that we have finished the fiscal year with?
Yes, ma'am.
Does this fall in line with with Dinah, with the city?
No. Because year end gets more complex, we have not had an opportunity to reconcile.
Okay.
But I have, for cash, I have presented the number that I came to.
And y'all still working closely together?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But we are in a deficit, okay.
Next slide.
Well, maybe you can explain it to me, being that we're in a deficit. I mean, what happens? I mean, what's the next step in trying to either correct that, write it off, or, how do we deal with that deficit?
What will happen is during the annual audit process, the auditors produce accrual basis financial statements, and that matches expenses incurred in June with revenues that relate to June, even if they were received or expended in July and August. So the difference between those two financial statement items is what's considered fund balance. And that fund balance represents revenues exceeding expenditures for years past. So if this turns out to be a deficit after the audit, that deficit will be placed against, it will reduce our existing fund balance.
26, 27. Will it'll affect 26, 27, correct?
Yes. So I'll talk a little bit more about it later on in a few slides. So looking at the textbook fund, this past year we had $169,000 available. By the end of June, we got an allocation of $112,296. We budgeted $169 because that was what we had received the year before. And we've spent $55,540 on textbooks this year. So the $56,771 will roll forward into year 27 to help support any textbook adoption that we approve for mathematics that Dr. Ricks was discussing.
So question. So what you're saying is we spent the 55,540 on textbooks on the prior in our previous years?
Yes, previous in the sense that it was July through June 30th, 26. And we're anticipating spending about, I think it said 100,000 or so on the new textbook adoption. So that falls within the fund balance that fund has. Looking at nutrition fund, this operating deficit was planned and anticipated. VDOE approved our plan to reduce our excess fund balance, and we did that throughout the year. This fund remains financially stable and continues to support cafeteria operations. Next slide. This slide represents federal grants. As you can see, the grant fund expenditures were significantly below the budget. And that is expected and does not indicate that grant funds were lost, unavailable, or poorly managed. Okay. The reason is because for most of the grants, we could be managing up to 3 grant years at one time, given that our year end is June 30th, and most of the grants have to be spent by September 30th. So we bring forward the budget remaining at each June 30th, and it goes on to continue to be spent until September 30th. So because we have 2 to 3 grant years going at once, you would expect that the budget would be higher like that. The funds still remain available and will be used before the grant deadline.
Which is September, correct?
For most grants, yes. Not all. And we do file our grant reimbursement request. No worst case scenario, we file them monthly, and we are at this time current in filing those grant reimbursements.
I got a question. So do we actually use all of one grant before we tap into the next one, or do we run all 3 simultaneously?
We do both. Of course, the goal is to expend all available funds in the earliest year first. But there are some instances where we do move on to the next year if we have plans already to spend the earliest grant.
Okay, now when we do that, do we find that it works in our favor as far as tracking credits and debits, or does it create a deficit that, we find ourselves in at the end of the year?
No, it does neither. As you can see, we're ahead of, our revenues are ahead of expenditures by 52. And we have grant reimbursements from June that will have come in July. So it's really indifferent as far as does it give us an advantage or not. It doesn't. Okay, next slide, please. And adding all the funds up, this is our total. Takeaways include the fact that we did get all of our expected state reimbursements. We did reduce the nutrition fund intentionally. And the primary takeaway is that these results are unaudited and are subject to audit. Questions on that? Okay. Moving on to our cash position that Ms. Bailey was asking about. We did have a surplus in June of $35,000, but that was not enough to offset the deficit that had accumulated throughout the year. I did put FCPS calculations only because we are still in process of working with the treasurer because this is a busy time of year for both of us.
Okay.
Okay, and the next slide just shows the historical trend over the past few years. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so there are some financial outliers that I want to go over now. There's two major outliers that materially affected the financial statements. It's important to distinguish between your ongoing operations and things that were one-time hits outside of normal operations. A significant portion of the reported deficit is primarily attributable to the following two things. First of all, we had unfunded capital expenditures that were necessary for health and safety. That had to be absorbed by the operating budget because designated capital funding wasn't available. That came to $460,000. The second thing is that fiscal year 25 vendor obligations remained unpaid at year end, and we had to carry those forward into year 26. Had these unusual factors not occurred, I believe that we would not have been in a cash deficit nor a financial reporting deficit. I just wanted to put that out there for board consideration. That concludes the financial report. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Morrison, I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
because there's supposed to be some going on with the high school. Did we find out if that was a load-bearing wall? Because if this is the expenditures report now, with that expense coming up in the cafeteria, is that going to hit this also? Because that needs to be done before September?
No.
Dr. Walters.
No, it will be included in next school year, starting July 1st, 26 to June 30th, 27.
Ms. Morrison, one more question. Do you all leave a reserve for things like this that occur, capital expenses? They're going to occur. Do you all have a reserve account? Because you have to expect this to occur when you have these different schools and these buildings you're managing. So do you have one?
We do not have one, although when the interim city manager was departing, he did recommend that the city set aside a capital funds reserve, and that is allowed by Virginia law. And they did approve to do that. So we should be able to make that happen for the school year 26-27.
Okay. Thank you.
And back to Mr. Grant's question, whatever deficit comes about, let's say it is $800,000. We have $2 million something on our fund balance right now, and this deficit would just reduce that, but we would still have a fund balance.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison.
Thank you.
Dr. Walters.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Carter. This evening, I have a few items that I wanted to bring to your attention. The first is an action item. I'm requesting permission to surplus 2 antiquated metal detectors, a broken teacher desk and a broken student desk. As you know, we do have weapon detection at each of our schools. These metal detectors are no longer necessary given our needs. So just requesting your permission. School property is school board property, so I need your permission to dispose of these items. If I could have a motion to do so.
I make a motion to dispose of the items listed, the 2 antiquated metal detectors, the broken teacher desk, and the broken student desk.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Osborne?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Aye. Motion passed.
Thank you, Board. The next item is relative to the question that Ms. Boone asked. So during normal custodial and maintenance activities in the summer, there was some cracking that was noted within the tiles of that exterior wall at Franklin High School. So we employed CNC Engineering, Jason Fowler, who happens to be an FHS alum, who's an engineer, to come and investigate the issue and provide us with a recommendation. And before we move to the next slide, the left and center pictures are kind of a before. Our maintenance supervisor pulled the other tiles off to get a better look at that post. That's the right picture. Next slide. So the engineer did note that the post does show signs of deterioration. That was the rust that was evident from the window line to the floor. However, it doesn't pose immediate concern regarding the structural integrity of the wall. Now, that being said, his recommendation is that we do address that this year by placing a similarly sized post next to that existing post and ensuring that a new footer is attached to both the top and the bottom of that post. We're still in the process of collecting estimates for this work, but to the question regarding is there a set aside, is there a reserve, the answer to that question is no. And so we have 2 options. We can go to City Council and request a budget adjustment to cover the cost, or we absorb it in the operating budget. Those are really our options, because if we know that there's an issue, it's incumbent upon us to fix it, whether there are funds set aside to do so or not. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. And that is a similar position to some of the capital improvements that existed or that were implemented this past year. So that being said, we are going to continue to provide you with information and updates on this project once we have cost estimates, and then we'll take action from there. Yes, sir. No. You're good. Any questions on that issue?
Is that the only section that looks that way? Because I'm pretty sure everything was put in at the same time.
Correct.
So are we taking a look at the rest of them? I mean, if it's pulling the tile, it shouldn't cost that much to replace it if everything is good. So are we taking a look at the rest of it?
Yes, sir. We're going to have the engineer come back. That was the first piece, but we're going to have a second eye on the other pieces. That exterior wall, there is cracking longitudinally down that wall, but it may be beneficial based on what we're seeing with this post. We may need to be installing posts similarly to those load-bearing sections of that wall.
So it is a low-bearing wall.
Yes, ma'am. That's an exterior wall. So really, The weight of that section is the roof.
So it's contradicting when you say that it's okay when there's rust, that means water, and water does travel, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's coming from that direct spot. First you said, go back to what you said. You said that the gentleman stated that it wasn't an immediate fix, but it needed to be done.
Correct.
So are we going to put this post in while the children are in school, or are we going to get it done before school starts?
We'll make every effort to get it taken care of before school starts, but we're, like I said, we're still in the process of getting quotes on what that work will cost, and then we'll move forward from there.
And there's always winter break, correct?
Correct.
You said you're in the process of getting quotes and to find out the full extent too, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, next slide. So this is kind of a timely conversation. In terms of funding capital improvement, something that was included in the governor's biennium budget was language that allows for localities to levy a 1% sales tax to fund school construction and major renovation projects, or to address the financing of such projects. This tax does not automatically take place. It doesn't automatically start up, and it also doesn't live into perpetuity. The process for moving forward with this would involve the local governing body directing the courts to put a referendum on the ballot. So for us, that would be asking City Council to direct the courts to do that. And at that point, then the electorate decides to either adopt the resolution accepting that 1% sales tax, or they vote that down. Next slide, please. So the deadline for this referendum is August 14th. One of the things that I'll say is we really were historically late in receiving the governor's budget. And so that really has impacted several different things. And when I say that the deadline is August 14th, it really is the deadline for the court to direct that referendum be placed on the ballot. So because of this narrow timeline, we're not seeking action from City Council at this time. But I do want to share with you what my action steps are for us to collect information, present that information, and then have a plan for moving forward. So we're going to identify and communicate the needs of the division. That will begin really in January. One of the things that I've shared before is that we've been picked up in the first cohort of the Supporting America's School Infrastructure Grant, or the SASE cohort. This recognizes that our division has aging infrastructure, and so wanting to provide facility condition assessments so that can then better inform our capital improvement process. So the funding from that is going to help us to conduct facility condition assessments at J.P. King and Franklin High School through the use of a contractor VDOE is paying for. And J.P. King and Franklin High School will have those facility condition assessments conducted on January 5th and 6th, respectively. The maintenance supervisor and I participated in professional development, and so we're going to take their process and replicate that at SP Morton. So we will have a collection of data for all three of our schools. At that point, we'll be engaging community members through structured information sessions. That will be kind of a May and June timeline where we have community engagement sessions, surveys, information sharing, board meetings, board presentations, and that sort of thing. And we will have developed a solution for how we're going to address these problems. And at that point, Then we'll have some discussion about whether it would be appropriate for us to move forward with conversation with City Council about having the referendum placed on the ballot for November of '27. But we recognize that there's aging infrastructure. We want to make sure that we have as much information about that as possible so that we can be planning forward.
Just a quick question. Because as a citizen, I would also like to be, or would want to be notified about, you know, the reason that we're going to get some type of tax increase.
Sure.
Is there any transparency technique that's going to be used to also allow the public to know what's going on instead of just city council?
Absolutely.
Because the public has to vote on it.
Correct. And part of that, I think, is just in communicating with our families, communicating with our community, sharing information in this forum and in others. We have, our aging infrastructure has to be addressed. How we choose to move forward, that's some discussion that we can have, you know, to plan this work out. But yeah, it's going to involve a lot of information sharing throughout the community. So this is not just a school board only or city council only. I do envision that there are community sessions where we're going out into the wards and sharing this information and collecting feedback from citizens. Part of this, though, is ensuring that our schools are tended to, and when there are capital improvements that are necessary, we have a plan for addressing them. So, like I said, we'll definitely have more information moving forward, but that's kind of the outline of my timeline for our steps into the upcoming school year.
I just have one question, Dr. Walters.
Sir.
Let's say, Lord forbid, 2 weeks from now, we have a major need at one of the schools. What are we going to do to address that? Because, of course, that may be a capital improvement need right there on the spot.
Right.
Instead of waiting for folks to kind of come and look at all of the needs, how are we going to address emergency needs?
So I think one of the best examples that I can show you is what we did with J.P. King. When we had to replace that sanitary line, the sanitary line was replaced. There wasn't capital funding that was absorbed in our operating budget. So when something emergent happens, we don't have time to wait. So that issue was addressed as quickly as it could be to be sure that it was ready for students.
I had a question, Dr. Walters.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we talk about aging infrastructure, and I'm pretty sure the J.P. King expansion from K1 to J.P. King and S.P. Morton's expansion kind of happened at the same time. Now, with more of our students currently housed at S.P. Morton, wouldn't it be more beneficial for the VDOE paid contractor to assess that building as opposed to J.P. King?
So one of the reasons that Dr. Carter and I selected J.P. King and Franklin High School, J.P. King is our oldest school. Yes, there have been additions to the 100 Hall, but that has our oldest bones. And so that was one of the reasons that I wanted to get an assessment of that facility. And with Franklin High School, I think there, although that is one of our newer schools, I want a clear picture of what needs we have there. Because I believe that there are likely other issues that are going to surface when we do this assessment. So that was kind of the thought process for including those two as the schools.
Mr. Hill, excellent questions. I guess the modulars, because we've had the modulars built there, gave us a little bit more wiggle room because we were able to provide some sort of new classroom space. But for J.P. King and Franklin High, we don't have any modulars. We have nothing. We have to fix what we have. And so that's why we're looking at it, because I believe one section of J.P. King was built in 1958. And that's how far it goes back. And so, and Franklin High is not too far behind in the 60s. And you're right, SB Morton does need an assessment. But we have so many few dollars. We're trying to see what we can do to put a Band-Aid on what we see is breaking down first and then work our way backwards. But you're correct, we do need an assessment at SB Morton at some time.
Right, so if VDOE is paying for the contractor and SP Morton has more surface area, why don't we let them do that school?
I think to Dr. Carter's point, we have done a lot of work at SP Morton in terms of upgrading infrastructure. So the HVAC was upgraded within the past 2 years, the addition of the modular units
The
for
bathrooms.
classroom space, updated restrooms at the elementary school. There are several improvements that have been addressed there. And again, I don't mean to give the impression that there's no work that's needed, but I think our biggest lifts are going to be at JP King. We know that we're maxed out on our electrical service at this point. We're using every breaker that we have in that building. And similarly for Franklin High School, we want to just make sure that we lay eyes on the plumbing issues that may exist, electrical issues that may exist. So that really is why we have leaned to those 2 schools. But as I said, we're still going to conduct a facility condition assessment at SP Morton. And we're going to be lockstep with the contractor when he's coming in to complete these assessments at JP King and Franklin High School. So I'll be presenting data from all 3 schools. We're just having them walk through those 2 buildings first.
How many students do we see a day at JP King compared to SP Morton?
You roughly see about 200 kids go through JP King.
What about SP Morton?
SB Morton is about 550 roughly.
So it's easier to place 200 as opposed to 550, right? I'm just trying to
elaborate.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around why we're doing JP King. Like I said, I graduated from JP King, which it was K1. That was the end of 1st grade, and I stayed at JP King. And like I said, I believe the new construction of both schools took place at the same time. So the age of the buildings are similar, but we house more students at at SP Morton than we do JP King. So I just feel that would be the greater need by the VDOE contractor as opposed to our own people.
JP King is going to continue to grow. So as more programs are added each year, say for instance, automotive technology is what we are working on next. So it will continue to receive more and more students as that builds out. I understand what you're saying, and Dr. Walters is saying that we're going to take a look at all 3 buildings. But we're seeing where the actual breakdowns of the buildings are occurring the most. And they're occurring the most at Franklin High and JP King at this moment, because we had put a lot of COVID money into SP Morton.
I want to go off topic just a little bit. In regards to the capital improvements of, different things at each building, right, that may be necessary or may be wanted, how are we addressing keeping security and things updated with cameras and making sure that we're addressing doors that may be sticking or not closing or anything that may be, relevant to that?
Sure. So a couple of things. The end of this month, we're submitting our security grant with the state. And so that, again, that funds a lot of work that we have. That helped to fund many of our weapon scanners, for instance. City Council funded others to kind of close that gap. But that helps to fund camera updates. And there are some specific things that we can and cannot request in the security grant. Often the grant will cover a subscription service for 1 year if there's some type of technology subscription that's necessary. Beyond that, then it becomes part of our operating budget. in subsequent years. So for instance, like Raptor was paid for initially through the security grant. We've absorbed the cost moving forward. To your question about how do we check doors, during the school year, we have our security officers who are doing checks constantly through the school to make sure that those exterior doors are closed. DCJS has provided signs for us to put up on each door that are, so they say, stop the block. So propping those doors open. So there are several things that we have in place. Our lead security officer and I are actually attending a conference next week in Hampton, provided by DCJS, so we'll have some updates from them. And that gives us time to plan our professional development of pre-service when folks come back in August. So that information then gets shared out there.
And then my last question, and I promise I'll be done.
You're good.
So I'm thinking about the modular units. How do we improve the safety and security of that when people can kind of just walk off the street and walk up to them? Have we thought about doing something different with that?
We can definitely look into that. One of the things that we have to be mindful of is open campuses, and in terms of our schools, and because they are open campuses, that really leans heavily on the need to ensure that our exterior doors are closed. Because if there is access behind the elementary school to the mods, that then leads to potential issues right up against the school. So we are continuously reviewing our processes. One of the things that will be presented to you at the August meeting are the updated crisis management plans that each of the schools are responsible for completing. And so there will be some information in that as well. And again, just for the community's understanding, because of the sensitive nature of that, there won't be a public presentation of that information. That information is shared in closed session. But just to demonstrate that that work is completed, it will be shared with the board at that time.
Dr. Walters, just in case the city doesn't approve, council doesn't approve the 1% tax increase, however you had it structured for next year, are you going to come up with a plan B? Is it fair to say that every year we're having unexpected capital expenses?
I would say that that's fair, yes, ma'am.
So do we need to come up with a plan B, somehow get in it's just like your house. You're going to have expenses that come up in a year, and you usually set some money aside in case the AC goes or something like that.
Yes,
So do
ma'am.
we have a plan just in case the city doesn't approve that? We don't, not to put it on the citizens, but how can we get this in a budget, in an operating budget every year? We know something is going to come up.
Can I answer that question? So, Ms. Bailey, we have to ask the city council if we do save money, not to take our rollover funds.
Okay.
So, because we need to, and that way we can put it in the capital improvement. So some city council members feel you either use it or lose it.
Within that year, though, you can have it in that year. You can use it in that year, right?
So, yeah, so say, for instance, I saved $525,000. This was a real scenario. That scenario was, that rollover fund was taken away from us. I wanted to put it in the capital improvement expenditure so we can keep building the fund so that we can be rewarded for being good stewards of our money. So it would take some convincing from some city council members to say, hey, please allow the school system to save some money and put it in the capital improvement line and don't take our rollover funds. So anything that we save, they don't take it.
I understand. But I do believe it was a previous city manager that explained, and I think Ms. Morrison was in on this conversation, it was public, that all she has to do is request that be rolled over by a certain date. Is that correct? Yeah, it can be. What happened was, it wasn't the city took it, it wasn't requested the proper way by proper date. I think it was just a verbal agreement is what was said, but it was not requested. They said it was not requested by a certain date.
Okay, we'll give it another shot.
Okay. That was all I had, Dr. Walters.
Fantastic. Anything else, board? Thank you. Have a nice evening.
That concludes our report.
Can I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for the SB work session meeting minutes for June 4th, 2026, the second reading?
If they weren't here, yes. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. We will have the vote. He was here. Mr. Caulfield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill? Ms. Boone? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Ms. Bailey? Aye. Motion carried. Okay.
In accordance with 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the Franklin City School Board enter into a closed session to discuss and evaluate matters related to salary adjustments, new hires, supplemental employment, promotions, resignations, resignations rescinded, and salary corrections pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 A 1 and 2, as well as discuss and consider personnel matters pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711 A1, and consult with legal counsel regarding related legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711 A8 in connection with same.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Caulfield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Ms. Bailey? Aye. We're now entering closed session. was meant for us to be confused. Okay. Oh. Give me 1 minute. Let me, because Bob usually does the motions. Hold on. I'll bring this out and then open this up so certification. I gotta bring this out, huh? Call to order. The closed session has concluded. We're now returning to open session. I move that the school board, having been in closed session pursuant to a proper motion, come out of closed session. Can I get a motion to come out of closed?
Whereas the Franklin City School Board has conveyed a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712.d of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, and now therefore be it resolved that the Franklin City School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, number one, only public business matters lawfully exempted by Virginia's laws were discussed in the closed meeting to which the certification applies. And number two, only such public business matters as we identify in the motion conveying the closed meeting were heard, discussed, and considered.
Before we certify, can I get a motion to come out of closed session?
I make a motion that we come out of closed session.
We have a motion. Can I get a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Bailey? Aye. We're out of closed session. Motion moved. Now the motion to certify, as it already been read. Can I get a motion to certify? It's already been read. Now can we get a motion to certify? I mean, can we get a second to certify the motion read?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
I certify.
Mr. Grant?
I certify.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
I certify.
Mr. Hill?
I certify.
Ms. Bailey, I certify. Motion carried. Motions from closed session. Mr. Alsbrook?
I want to make a motion to approve the personnel agenda, but table 1, 7, 8, 14, 18, 34, and 35.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Bailey? Aye. Motion moved. Motion passed.
Also want to make another motion to approve the 6 non-residential student applications.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let us have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Bailey? Aye. Motion moved. At this point, we'll have our citizens' time. First person is Ms. Carolyn Lawrence.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I got some more information I need to get off of my chest. Been a very depressing 3 years. I stand before you tonight, not just as a member of this community, but as a voice for justice, fairness, and the protection of our educators. We are facing a severe crisis of leadership in our district, and it requires your immediate termination, Dr. Carter. Official notice of trespassing. I missed my granddaughter volleyball championship game, taught her the basic skills of the game. I received a notice Friday afternoon, official notice of trespass. I didn't cause her disturbance or anything. Again, personal vendetta. Another thing, you had, or somebody on that board before this board, put something in my personnel file of 5 or 6 years ago. So you was really looking for something on Carolyn Lawrence. You didn't find anything, but you made things up. And I thought you was a better man than that. I really did. How disappointing. Investigation. I asked for this 2023. That's when I got the letter the following year about no trespassing. All of these things you have done to me, it hurt my family. It definitely hurt my granddaughter. And all she says, Grandma, what kind of man is that? Is he a real superintendent? I said, baby, look at your grandma. No, he's not. He'll attack people personally. You don't like a person, they don't agree with you. Instead of sitting down talking about it, you just go make up things to try to make somebody feel bad. I didn't feel bad. You actually made me stronger now. Because another time, I would have been up here before 3 years. But it took me a while, me being on this medication, to finally calm myself down. So I don't know why you get to stay here. I don't know for what reason, and I really don't care. You didn't care about me, why should I care about you? You sit behind those doors and other people dictate to you, tell you what to do. Get Carolyn Lawrence. We got people in here that was the village, but you got all of us out. And for what reason? Personal vendetta. Don't know how long we want to keep him here. Well, I'm asking you school board members as well as this community. It's time for him to go. And I want you to take a look in the mirror at yourself, Dr. Carter, if you consider yourself a man. Thank you.
Ms. Lawrence. Ms. Audrey Lee. Ms. Audrey Lee. Ms. Audrey Lee. Ms. April Edwards.
Hello, I'm April Edwards. I want to be able to give you this. It's a packet of everything that, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but it's everything that you need to know about what happened to my son with truancy, as Dr. Carter stated tonight, that they handle absences by truancy. Well, here's my case. It's my son's birthday today, but I'm here tonight because he's not with me. Because a fraudulent truancy case was against my special needs son. Instead of addressing why he was absent and providing the special needs education that he needed and addressing the issues and the abuse, just like Dr. Carter told you tonight, they addressed it with truancy. So this is the paperwork that I need to present to the board for that case. I had it one day and still don't have my son. So, ma'am.
Finish speaking, and then you can pass it out when you finish
Well,
speaking.
I'm not about to hold it, so I'm gonna sit down. in the packet, and I have so much more evidence if you need it, but inside the packet will be emails with my intent to homeschool that was sent to Dr. Carter. There were emails with Dr. Carter. There was also emails with Dr. Ricks, where she's, I believe it was May 1st, anyway, I'm not gonna go over the dates because I might get it wrong, but, you know, she got all my information for intent to homeschool. She approved my homeschool. However, Franklin City Public Schools still sent Amy Phillips and other school staff to court to say that I didn't comply. I did. I got my homeschool approval, and my son was under the age of 6. At that time, because he was under the age of 6, the director at that time, as they changed staffs often because they couldn't keep staff, the director of special ed had told me that because my son was under the age of 6, that I could keep him home that year and use that year to correct his IEP, because prior to his kindergarten year, we had issues where they were taking his cochlear implants off. He was deaf, completely deaf, and autistic level 3, nonverbal. However, he used the cochlear implants for his hearing, and they were taking him off and putting him in his book bag. When I asked about that, they didn't want him to get lost. He can't retain information without his ears. Without his cochlear implants, he can't hear. Do you do that with kids in wheelchairs or prosthetic legs? I mean, you can't just do that. There's all forms, I guess I'm it, but there's all forms of abuse and neglect. So, I'm gonna give you this. And there's so much more, so if there's something missing or something you don't understand, I'm gonna give you some more. Okay, I only have 6. I figure Miss Boone, the other Miss Boone, excuse me, wouldn't be here, so I won't need to waste some more paper. Sorry. Trying to follow the motions again. It's a lot of personal information. I need to have a parent capacity evaluation on myself, so you all know me well by the time I read these documents, but it's okay. Sorry, I keep it together. I do have the whole case. Social services says school says social services. It's truancy, so you need a whole case. So I gave you everything. Did I miss somebody? Thank you. This isn't statements or this is documents, facts. Years of it.
So we'll bring that.
I try to convey the issue, guys. Okay. Did I give somebody 2? Oh, no, no. That's good. Big man. get more than
She got one more. Yeah, yeah. Ms. Audrey Lee, we called your name. You are not present. You are present now. Would you like your citizen time now? Ms. Audrey Lee?
My name is Audrey Lee, 507 Vaughns Lane, Franklin, Virginia. And I definitely want to congratulate all of the new members and the present members of this school board panel. And I thank God that His word has been true so far. And I'm looking forward to the future, looking forward to a change in the school system. I'm looking forward to our children being able to get an education that they so deserve. I'm looking forward to this panel. I want y'all to know I was watching y'all online because I was at work. This has been the most professional meeting that I have seen carried out in a long time. And I thank y'all for that. I thank you. And you look like y'all just want to work together to make things happen. And as an advocate, for the kids in the city of Franklin, I want to say to y'all that Miss Edwards, I was given the opportunity to visit Miss Edwards' home a couple of days ago. And I went to court also with Miss Edwards a couple of days ago. And I want y'all to know that there are a lot of discrepancies in that package that you just got. There are a lot of things that should have been taken as the truth that was not. And I'm just hoping that y'all, and if you need to see videos of the behavior of the child and his abilities, she also has videos of how Elijah reacted to the family and the things that he could do while he was at home. And I pray that he hasn't had to digress because of being taken out. And today, I understand, is his birthday. And so I'm just hoping that the board can assist Ms. Edwards some way, somehow, of getting that child back home, because he was the happiest little thing last year when I saw him interacting with the family. And I just thank y'all. I thank y'all so much. And I thank God for being the God that He is.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. At this time, we will have school board announcements, presentations, and comments. Mr. Cofield?
I don't have any.
Mr. Grant?
I just want to say I did attend the governor's school in Petersburg, the meeting. We did have the chair that was there, Ms. Parker, our former school board member, so we are going to have to get someone there. They did vote on a new chair, but they are ready for Franklin to represent there and be a part of that, because I give it up to Ms. Parker. She actually definitely did a great job there listening to what the people had to say. I know that I can't actually accept that role because of the time that it is, and it's during the school day, and I'm going to, have to be at work. But I think definitely we need to be a part of that progress. They're doing a lot of great things there, and we need our students there as well.
Ms. Boone?
Good evening, Madam Chair Bailey and Vice Chair Osborne, school board members, Dr. Carter, and the citizens of this community. I would like to first say thank you to the Franklin Kitchen, Councilwoman Jessica Grant, and Councilman Ricky Grizzle, and the city manager for receiving and appointing me to be a part of this school board. I was selected by them with the charge of ensuring that decisions being decided on are impartial and will positively impact the future of success of every Franklin City Public School student. Realizing this task is not going to always be easy, but it is worth it for our children and their future. I'm excited to be working with my team. A special thanks to everyone who spoke at the public hearing. I want to continue to encourage our citizens to continue to attend the board meetings and be a part of the positive impact towards our children. Always remember, it's about our children. To my team, let's continue to work together and communicate in a professional, adult manner. We will disagree on some things, but we can come to an agreement that is fair to our students, teachers, and staff. Always remember, we have a lot of eyes looking and ears listening. So let us do our very best for the Franklin City Public Schools.
Mr. Alsbrook.
Just had one comment for this evening. I wanted to take a moment to formally welcome our two board members, Ms. Dorothy Boone and Mr. Lamont Hill. It is a pleasure to have y'all here.
Mr. Hill?
All right, Ms. Boone, you set the bar kind of high.
You really did.
I wasn't prepared to say anything other than thank you for everybody that spoke out, everybody that showed up. But those that know me know my passion for these kids and their success, and that will not stop. I look forward to working with not only the school board team, but even the school administration. Like, it takes all of us to make this thing work. The village has to come back, and that extends past this meeting room. That goes to the homes, that even goes to the kids. So we're going to pour positiveness into these kids and be the examples that, that they need to see. And hopefully one day all of us can influence one of them to come and take one of our seats and make a positive change. Whatever that change looks like, we don't know yet. But thank you, guys.
The board will hold a special meeting to complete annual organizational matters, including the regular meeting scheduled and related organizational appointments. The notice and proposed agenda will be posted in accordance with Virginia Freedom of Information Act and board policy. Moving on from that, thank everybody for their support on this evening. We apologize if we got certain parliamentary structure and procedures a little off tonight, but we will get it in order, and we thank you all for your support. Please continue to come to the school board meetings. Please continue to ask questions, and it's good to see our village. It is good. This is our village, the Franklin City Village. It is good to see everybody. Thank you again. Any other comments? Can I have a motion to close the?
Got a motion?
I make a motion that we end tonight's school board meeting.
I second.
Any discussion? Motion and a second. Let's have the vote. Mr. Cofield?
Aye.
Mr. Grant?
Aye.
Ms. Boone? Mr. Alsbrook?
Aye.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Ms. Bailey? Motion carried, meeting ended.